What's up, people? Welcome back to Daily Red Devil, and welcome to another instalment of our in-topic focus series. On this week's show, we're going to be exploring why Manchester United are signing André Onana from Inter Milan. We're going to be doing a deep dive into his stats, into some of his strengths, some of his weaknesses, so do smash a like on the video and do subscribe to the channel if you are new. As you know, guys, for the last 12 years, we've had David De Gea at the club. One of the longest serving goalkeepers we've had. He's got the Golden Glove record. He obviously got the clean sheet record in the Premier League last season. A quality player and a legend still, in my opinion. But football has changed. No longer are the days where somebody who is just good at shot stopping is enough. It's not. You need a goalkeeper who is ultimately as good in goal as they are at passing, as they are at distribution. You need an all-round player. And unfortunately, David De Gea is not that person. He's tried to improve. He's tried to better himself, but that didn't really work out. And as you now know, David De Gea has left the club and André Onana looks set to join Manchester United. So we're going to be doing a breakdown into some of the player's strengths. We're going to be looking at some quotes surrounding the player, and we're also going to be doing a really interesting comparison where we compare him to the other top 5 goalkeepers in the league, so Alisson, Ederson, Ramsdale, etc, etc. And I think you'll be very, very interested to see what those results find. Right, let's jump straight into it. So the first immediate, obvious strength of André Onana is his ability on the ball. André Onana is ultimately a player who almost as good as one of your outfield players at passing, passing it long with his feet. He's even got skills to his game. I've even seen videos of him shooting, and he looks like a pretty good striker. So this guy knows exactly what to do with the ball at his feet. He's not afraid of it. He's not like David De Gea, where the other team would put pressure on him and he'd just end up kicking the ball out of play because he was worried. He is very comfortable on the ball, and obviously Erik ten Hag knows this from his time at Ajax. The next thing is his shot stopping. This is something that some people have been a bit critical about and have said his shot stopping's not as good as De Gea, he's not as good at that, blah, blah, blah. But actually, if you break down the stats of André Onana, he actually saved more shots last season in all competitions than Ramsdale, Ederson, Alisson. His shot percentage range was around 75%. He was the top of the list out of all of those goalkeepers. And out of all the keepers who played in Europe, he had the highest save percentage and clean sheet ratio, while no other goalkeeper prevented more goals according to, expected goal ratio. So not only was he better than Ederson, Alisson, Ramsdale at saving shots, he also clocked up a better save percentage in the Champions League than any other goalkeeper in last year's Champions League. So he is good at shot stopping, clearly. People did say that they were worried about that element of his game. He wasn't good enough at shot stopping, and he made some dodgy mistakes and stuff. But I think that's just one of those ones where you see one or two clips on Twitter and people get a bit confused by it. So yeah, his shot stopping is definitely a strength of him. Now, another one on the kind of more ball playing side of things is his distribution. He is elite at distribution, right? He doesn't always go for the easy pass. He'll play it over the top to 3 or 4 players. He knows exactly what to do with the ball, and he is not scared to do risky things, let's say. He will try and do some risky things, which I will come on to in a bit, and that is potentially a negative. The other thing that I really like about this guy is his ability to command his defense. He breeds confidence. You can just see it. If you've seen any videos about him, any interviews, go and watch an interview of Onana. Honestly, this guy is confident. He's not scared of anything. I remember before the Champions League final, he was asked about Erling Haaland, whether he was scared about coming up against him. And he simply said, I fear no man. The only person I fear is God. So when I heard that, I was like, wow. And I'm not religious. I just thought that was really powerful. He didn't even say, oh, he's a great player. I'll show him respect. He was just like, I'm not scared of him. And there's been a few interviews like that as well. There was another interview where somebody was asking him about being racially abused. And he just said ultimately, like, it doesn't bother me anymore. Like, if those people are sad enough that that's what they want to do, then that's fine. Like, I don't let it get to me. Honestly, guys, he not only commands himself in the press conferences and stuff, but you know that he's going to command his defense. I did feel with David De Gea, he did bring a bit of a shakiness. We always used to say Maguire was rubbish, but I don't think David De Gea helped him, to be completely honest with you. Whenever you saw David De Gea on the pitch, he never was really shouting or commanding his defense. It was always a bit of a mess, wasn't it? Everybody didn't really know who to look at or who to, get advice from or all the rest of it. Whereas with Onana, he's going to command it. He's going to stamp his authority. He's going to let everyone know that he's there. He's going to shout. He's going to be heard. And the other thing that's super, super important on that same topic is he commands his box. That was another thing that David De Gea was really, really bad at. So many times you'd see a ball coming into the box, the opponent striker would jump for it, David De Gea would back off, I guess because he didn't want to get injured or he was too afraid, and then they'd score. That happened so many times under David De Gea, whereas this is actually something that Onana doesn't do. He is strong, he is physical, he's a strong presence in that box. He will command it, he will stop the ball coming in and he'll go and get it. Whereas David De Gea was always glued to his line. He always was. He would never come off his line, David De Gea. Which wasn't a bit of an issue, I think. The most obvious thing for me as well is his ability to play out from the back. This is something that we were unable to do under David De Gea. We did try to play this, fluent passing out from the back football, but most of the time it did end up in the other team scoring. I remember against Brentford, we tried to do it. David De Gea picked the wrong pass and they scored. There was probably 5 or 6 instances in the Premier League last season alone where we tried to play out from the back and it went badly. The other team pressed us and they scored. That won't happen under Onana. There was a really interesting quote that came out from Pep Guardiola just before the Manchester City Inter Milan final, and he goes, the goalkeeper Onana makes it really difficult to play out from the back, to deploy a high press against. You cannot press the goalkeeper properly. Inter are masters at keeping the ball. Ultimately, you can't press Onana. He'll try and do a step over, he'll try and flick the ball over people's heads. Like, he doesn't care. He's comfortable with the ball, he's as comfortable with an outfield player, so pressing him is kind of pointless. Whereas with David De Gea, the opposition know if they press him, he's either going to kick the ball out or he's going to make a bad pass and they'll score. So this is a massive positive, and this is how the modern game has changed. People press you, people are at you constantly. Teams would come to Old Trafford and they'll be pressing you from the first minute. We go away to a Norwich or a Bournemouth, a lower table team who we'd expect to beat comfortably, and they'll be pressing you from the very first go, and then the crowd get on their side, and before you know it, the game's lost. Brentford, what was it, 4-0? There was so many instances last year where away from home, the team would press us from the very beginning. David De Gea looked shaky, and they probably were all saying in the dressing room, let's just hound David De Gea, let's just get at him. Every time a ball comes into the box, jump in front of him, push him, do whatever you can just to make him feel uncomfortable. And that is, of course, something that Onana won't allow to happen. He will command his box. He's physical. He's strong. He's a voice. And ultimately, he knows what to do with the ball. The press doesn't work against him. Don't take my words for it. Take that quote I just said from Pep Guardiola, ultimately saying that it's very difficult to employ a high press against him. You cannot press against the goalkeeper like that properly. That's what Pep Guardiola said. So, yeah, I think that's very damning. And the fact that Pep Guardiola has given him such high praise is obviously a massive positive. I think another thing that's really important about Onana's game is, of course, he is as good as any of the outfield players at passing the ball. He is. And that's what Ten Hag needs. Ten Hag's system is built on controlling the ball, controlling the possession, passing out from the back. And that is something we haven't seen yet with Manchester United. I want you guys to remember that the style of play we saw last season was not Erik Ten Hag ball. It wasn't. That was Erik Ten Hag adjusting to the situation, admitting that the players he had and the time he'd been at the club, he wasn't able to implement the style of play he wanted. He needed to bring in a goalkeeper. He needed to bring in, a Martinez and a Varane as his kind of ball-playing centre-backs. He needed to make these changes, and he needed a year of slightly different football to try and get us in the top 4, and we won a trophy. So hats off to him for doing that. But I do really think that we will see a completely different style of football under Erik Ten Hag with Onana as our goalkeeper next season. There's a really interesting quote here that comes out from Pep Guardiola as well, funny enough. And he says, if you look at your Manchester United, for example, it's all long ball football. Inter Milan are very different. They keep the ball. That is why you have to think about what you have to do. With the ball, Inter are very, very good. This is why they're in the Champions League final. Ultimately, the football we saw last season was not Erik Ten Hag ball. It wasn't. It was long ball. We didn't score many goals. It was very restricted, let's say. They weren't taking many risks. I think we'll see a very different style of football this season, and that is because of the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper opens up that door to play fast, attacking football, passing out from the back. You couldn't do that with David De Gea. As much as I love the guy, the game has changed. You have to think now, Tottenham are getting rid of Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris and David De Gea, to me, are similar goalkeepers. They're old-style goalkeepers. They're good at shot stopping, but they're not really that good at anything else, to be completely honest with you. Whereas there's now these hybrid goalkeepers like Ederson, like Alisson, like Onana, who are good at shot stopping. I'm not saying he's the best shot stopper in the world, but he is good at shot stopping, and they're elite with the ball, And that is what we have been crying for the last 5 or 6 years, I think. Before then, it wasn't that noticeable. Before Pep Guardiola came to the Premier League, before Jurgen Klopp came to the Premier League, it wasn't that noticeable. All of the goalkeepers were still this more kind of, weren't expected to pass out from the back, weren't expected to be good at kicking. But now the game has changed. All of the top teams in the Premier League are bringing in these types of goalkeepers, and we need to adapt to that, and we have adapted to that. And as you can probably tell from this video, I am very, very excited about Onana becoming a Manchester United player. Do let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about this, what you think about this analysis. Is there anything you think I've missed? Is there anything in his game that you're worried about? Is there any weaknesses? The only obvious weakness I can see is obviously he will take risks, okay? There is always a risk involved when your goalkeeper's trying to do a skill around a striker or something like that. There is always going to be a mistake in the game. That's just to be expected because he's not playing it safe. He's not kicking the ball out every time he gets it. He will try and do the risky pass. He will try and, take the ball around a player and then pass it to somebody. But at the end of the day, for me, that's entertainment. We watch football to be entertained, and I'm quite excited about that. And I'm okay with the fact that he might make a couple of mistakes, and we have to just keep supporting him and stay on his side, even if a couple of mistakes does happen. But do let me know in the comment section what you think about this. How excited are you about the Onana signing? I'm very, very excited. I'd say it was a 9 out of 10 signing. I don't think I could be more happy. There isn't really anyone else in world football that I'd prefer in goal other than him. Obviously, I have a bar like Alisson and Edison. I'd probably, be just as happy with them. But overall, we've got the best goalkeeper, I think, available at this current price. So I'm very, very happy with this. I think it's a great bit of business. And as you can tell from this video, his strengths completely outweigh his negatives. And it's going to completely revolutionise the way Manchester United play football next season. Do smash a like on the video. Do get involved in the comments section. Let me know what you think. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.